Okay, we're live. Live here for game day number 9, Legends of the Fall. It's a beautiful fall day here in Central Florida. I'd like to welcome all of you to the broadcast. This broadcast is being brought to you by Pete's Bar, Molly Brown's, and the hotels of Bay Meadows in Jacksonville. You know, we had sponsors today, but we do. As you'll probably notice, old Big Head Chad is not with us today. He is out studying dam building in the Northwest by the Great North American Beaver. So what we're hoping is maybe next week he'll come back with some dam knowledge and can impart that to us. But we have a special treat in his absence. With us today, co-hosting, is the Turtlefish. Now the Turtlefish is a Georgia Bulldog fan, and he is going to give you some great insights about game day, tailgating, and all these college games we've got for you today. And then after we go through our games briefly, we just want to give you a quick history lesson, because I'm sure most of you know today is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. So we're going to talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. But first, let's go through the games. Let's see, I'm not going to do a bunch because old Chatty Boy usually does this and he ain't here. So,
the video. Okay.
We also have Austin P at UCF. We may have had some technical difficulties, so if you missed it, Miami at North Carolina at noon. Austin P at UCF, I think it's at 5. Let's see, Houston at USF at 3:45, and USF and UCF are on a collision course of the Power 5, as long as they stay unbeaten. Big game, Penn State and Ohio State are at 3:30. That's probably your biggest game of the day. I know the boys from ESPN are there. They invited us, but we just had too much important stuff to do down here. And lastly, the big game down here is the Georgia-Florida matchup at 3:30. Now, Georgia-Florida is called the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Always has been. Some guy decided he didn't want the networks to call it that anymore, so, you know, what are you going to do? But anyway, that's what the man said, so now they call it something else. I looked up the history of that, and that started when a beat writer for the Florida Times-Union, Bill Praslertz or something, saw a dude, a drunk fan, try to give a police officer a cocktail. He offered him a drink, so he came up with the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Nice, befitting name. But anyway, this game day up in Jacksonville, really, game day doesn't do it justice. It's really more of a game day weekend long ordeal. So what we're going to do is go through the 4 top moments from Georgia-Florida weekend on the field, and then our personal 4 top moments from Georgia-Florida weekend off the field. Please feel free to send in any questions you may have afterwards, and we'll answer them individually. But let's start with this game day on the field in this semi-hedonistic annual squall that falls onto Jacksonville this time every year. Okay, we have got number 1. This would be Jack Youngblood's strip, 1970. Neither of us were born in 1970. However, from what we understand, Jack Youngblood, let's see, he stripped the ball from Georgia's Ricky Lake. And I'm assuming this is not the same Ricky Lake that was a talk show host in the past decade, the lady who got real skinny and then a little biscuit-esque and then got skinny again.
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, Ricky Lake, Jack Youngblood stripped the ball and he recovered the fumble. Florida was down 17-10. They went on to score and won the game 24-17. Whoopity-doo. Next, Georgia, Appleby to Washington, 1975. Trailing 7-3 with 3:24 left. Georgia called a reverse pass. Tight end Richard Appleby took the handoff from Matt Robinson, stopped, and heaved an 80-yard touchdown pass to Gene Washington. Appleby threw the ball more than 50 yards in the air. So, as the Georgia fans celebrated wildly, Larry Munson said, "The Gator Bowl girders are bending," and Georgia won the football game. Next one. Number 3, timely timeout. This was a 1993 game. I believe you were at this one, weren't you, Turtle? Yep, Turtlefish was there. Okay. Towards the end of the game, Eric Zier was down towards the end zone, and the Bulldogs had a chance to win the ball game, basically. Zier takes the snap, throws a touchdown pass, or what everybody thought was a touchdown pass, to Jerry Jarman with 5 seconds left. But the officials granted a timeout to Antone Lott. And while he went on to be a great NFL player, that may have been his finest moment in a Gator uniform. Nothing against Antone, but that was a big play. Well, anyway, they got the timeout, touchdown was called back, and the Gators held them on the next play and won the game. And that is number 3. And I think you all know what number 1 is. This is one of the greatest plays in college football history. Run, Lindsey, run. I was going to download some audio for this one, but I didn't have time, so got a little lazy. So this was what, 1980, right? Yep. The Bulldogs were down big. There was very, very little time left on the clock. They were on their own 7 with a minute to play. 3rd and 11, and Buck Bellew dropped back, threw from his own end zone to Lindsey Scott. Lindsey got a big block from Nat Hudson, and it was over after that. He smoked down the left sideline, and you all probably know the Larry Munson call: 45, 50, 45, 40, run Lindsey, run. And he just started screaming, Lindsey Scott, Lindsey Scott. The Bulldogs went on to win and break the heart of the Gators in 1980. And that was that. Now, we're going to move on to our top 4 tailgate moments. The first one, which I think you've got a photo over there, is called the PPTP. Now, they don't call this a cocktail party because everybody eats 4 cold shrimp and some cocktail sauce and goes into the ball game. It's called a cocktail party because everybody's drinking cocktails. And when you get that many folks together drinking cocktails, bathrooms become very, very important. Well, back in these days, we never had enough bathroom space. So my lovely wife and my father-in-law invented for us the PPTP, built out of the finest PVC and Visqueen that we could find in a nice bucket. We had our own little portalette right by our tailgate. One thing we didn't consider was what happened when the bucket got full. And I'm not going to go into that because that's probably some illegal stuff going on there. Anyway, number 4 was the PPTP. Number 3, this was, the infamous blowout of the minivan. This is a picture not of the actual event, but this is a very similar minivan, and the looks on these ladies' faces are almost identical to looks on our faces. A little background on this. We left for game day weekend on Thursday, and Trickster, one of our buddies that was with us, decided it would be a good idea to eat chili with jalapenos and onions at every meal. Little did we know he had a plan. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we had to go someplace that would serve him chili. So he eats chili for 2.5 days. Well, we're driving, JTB, over the bridge to get to the stadium for tailgate Saturday. And all of a sudden we hear a light snickering in the back seat of the minivan. Well, about that time, all of the oxygen in the van was sucked out of the room because all that chili had come to bear on each and every one of our noses. We opened the sliding doors going 55 miles an hour down the highway, rolled all the windows down, thinking that would help. But as soon as oxygen hit that toxic ball of gas, it exploded like a nuclear fission into the van, and we all almost threw up. But we got a good laugh out of it afterwards. A little gross, but still a great cocktail party game day weekend story. All right. Next up. What is this one? Ah, the train horn. The train horn was a fine, fine Saturday in Lot J. We had been out a little late the night before, so we were all a little shaky, to say the least, coming into Saturday game day. We got to the tailgate, and where we were tailgating happened to be beside a large black truck. Unbeknownst to us, the owner of the large black truck had a remote in his hand, and he had mounted a real freight engine train horn underneath his truck. He blasted that bad boy, and we all had to change our shorts because it almost stopped your heart. I mean, we were shaking already. Then we looked like dogs trying to crap a peach seed the rest of the day. We were so shaky. Finally, after about 4 blasts of the horn, the turtlefish here threatened to start whipping people, and the police came over and told him they'd take him to jail if he blew that thing one more time. We're very happy to see law enforcement doing their job that day. All right. And last but not least, one of my personal favorites. I spoke about the portalettes earlier. Well, if you eat enough food and drink enough beer over the course of 3 days, just going old number one ain't going to work. So our buddy, Uncle Needle, had to do the opposite, the old deuce. Well, if you've ever been to the tailgate in Jacksonville, there's a lot of people trying to raise money for different causes. Little youth league cheerleaders walk around and offer to do a cheer for you, and you donate $20 to them. So Needs is in the portalette, and Trickster, the chili man, decided to ask the little girls if they'd do a cheer for him. And he even came up with it. And this is what he wanted them to do for $25. Come on, Needle, push that turd, push that turd, push that turd. Come on, Needle, push that turd, Needle. Which I almost fell on the ground when I was listening to him say this. And there was probably a little much for the age of the cheerleaders. Needless to say, they did not perform the cheer, but it was permanently embedded in my memory, and I'm sure yours too. And we'll never forget it. We'll be back in Lot J next year. But that is our game day for today. I'd just like to remind you all to come visit us, plantyourflagsports.com. We're on Amazon under Plant Your Flag. Come check out all of our stuff, or come by our retail shops. We have our home office in downtown Lake Wales, Amy's Party and Gifts in Winter Haven, the Proud Gator in Lakeland, and the Lake Wales Country Club in Lake Wales. All are retailers of these fine, fine Plant Your Flag products. So until next week, this has been Game Day number 9, Legends of the Fall. Push that turd, Needle. Peace out.